Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you're a business analyst or an enterprise strategist, you're really going to want to lean in for this one. Today, we're setting a highly focused professional tone. It's time to completely shift our mental model around AI. We're moving way past the sci-fi myths. We're skipping the casual, weekend experimentation, and we are stepping directly into the architecture of professional intelligence.
We've all felt this, right? There is a very specific, quiet frustration that haunts the modern executive. It's that exact moment you realize the AI you've just engaged is like a teammate who talks a great deal but says absolutely nothing of substance. You ask for a strategic breakdown, and instead, you get a beautifully formatted wall of corporate fluff. We call it the fluent but wrong trap. You get a response that is grammatically impeccable, elegantly structured, but, fundamentally useless for high-stakes corporate demands.
Okay, let's dive into this. To cure this core disconnect, we're walking through a precise operator's manual today. We'll start with the fluent but wrong trap, then compare retail sedans to armored trucks. After that, we'll build out the three-stage workflow, install the prompting OS, check out the physics of the context window, and finally, wrap it up with the calibration loop.
All right, Section 1, the fluent but wrong trap.
So why do we experience that quiet frustration we just talked about? Well, it's because we fundamentally misunderstand what the AI actually is. We kind of need to break the illusion right here. A large language model, an LLM, is not a thinking machine in any biological sense. It's actually a highly powerful text prediction engine. Its core job is simply to predict the next most likely word based on probability distributions. It doesn't actually know facts about the world, it only knows patterns in text data. It optimizes for fluency, not truth.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core issue. We are mistaking a really sophisticated interface for a functioning intellect. It's incredibly common to expect a thinking machine with its own internal compass, but the reality? It's just a text prediction engine. Honestly, think of it as autocomplete on steroids. If you delegate your critical thinking to this model, it will happily invent plausible-sounding nonsense just to complete a pattern.
Moving on to Section 2, Retail Sedans versus Armored Trucks.
Look, to operate safely, we have to draw a hard line between public tools and secure corporate platforms. Public tools, like your standard ChatGPT, are built for mass market appeal. They're the digital equivalent of a retail sedan. Comfortable, fast, easy to drive. But there's a fatal risk. Your data is the fuel that trains their future models. Conversely, enterprise tools like Spark Assist, those are our armored trucks. Absolute security, privacy, and control are the priority. But here's the catch. They are a powerful engine only. You, as the business analyst, have to build the analytical pipelines around them.
Because it's just an engine, you really have to grasp the amplifier rule. AI is an amplifier, not a judge. It has literally zero internal compass to tell you that your logic is flawed. So if you put weak thinking in, you get amplified confusion out. It'll just give you a beautifully phrased version of your own muddled logic. But if you put strong, clear, structured thinking in, you get amplified value out, high-precision, enterprise-grade analysis.
But putting that strong thinking in means we have to radically adapt how we communicate. Think about how we talk to each other. Humans rely on implied meaning, shared history, emotional tone. We constantly read between the lines. AI absolutely cannot do this. AI is a creature of intense literalism. It needs explicit instructions, literal data inputs, clearly stated formatting rules, and hard constraints. This communication gap, that is exactly where most professional errors are born.
Section 3, the three-stage workflow.
Let's move to and see how this builds. So, how do we actually bridge that communication gap? Well, first off, we stop the dangerous, lazy, dump-and-pray approach. To operate AI at an enterprise standard, you have to dynamically shift your role across three distinct phases. You're no longer just a passive user typing into a search bar. You are managing a complex, logical system.
It breaks down into these three steps. First, explore. You collaborate with the AI like a peer to brainstorm and stress test ideas. Second, design. Now this is absolutely crucial. Think like a leader, and do this entirely in your own head before you even touch the keyboard. Define the logical steps to solve the problem, and decide what a successful outcome actually looks like. Finally, third, execute. Instruct like a manager. Write a high-precision prompt with clear commands and constraints to execute the solution you just designed.
Which brings us to Section 4, the Prompting OS Framework.
To execute that third step perfectly, we need a system. The Prompting OS is a controlled framework designed specifically to eliminate unstated assumptions. Why? Because unstated assumptions are the #1 source of uncontrolled risk in corporate analysis. This system requires you to provide structure through 6 mandatory questions and precision through 2 specific inputs: reference information, which cures the AI's amnesia, and golden samples, which cures its vagueness.
Here is your roadmap. The 6 mandatory questions. 1. Role. Who exactly should the AI act as? 2. Context. Why does this task even exist? 3. Objective. What does success really mean here? 4. Format. Are we talking an executive memo or a bulleted data table? 5. Tone. Should it be analytical or leadership-driven? And 6. Constraints. What are the strict boundaries or exclusions? You answer these 6, and you finally stop hoping the AI magically guesses your intent.
Section 5. Physics of the context window.
Now, what's really interesting about this is understanding the environment our framework operates in. The context window is the model's working memory, right? It's not a permanent storage drive. Its reasoning quality drops as cognitive load increases. If you overload it past about 80% capacity, you get signal failure and hallucinations. And critically, large language models follow a U-shaped attention curve. They pay peak attention to the start and end of your prompt, but their attention drops off a cliff in the middle. Because of that attention curve, we have a very strict tactical axiom, the placement rule. You must never, ever bury your critical instructions or vital constraints in the middle of a long prompt. That middle section, that's the valley of neglect. If you want the AI to follow your most important boundaries, you put them at the very beginning and you reiterate them at the very end.
And our final section, number 6, the calibration loop. So bringing it all together, we focus on execution, validation, and ultimate human accountability. High-precision enterprise AI is basically never achieved with one single perfect prompt. It just doesn't happen. It requires a continuous 4-step loop. Ask, using your structured OS prompt. Observe and validate the output, looking specifically for fluent but flawed logic. Refine by adding hard constraints or clarifying things based on the errors you spotted. And rerun to execute that much-improved prompt. This iterative cycle, that is the true calibration of intelligence.
And throughout this entire loop, remember, we are disciplined gatekeepers. Not all tasks are meant for Gen AI. Green means safe, perfect for public info and structural brainstorming. Yellow means caution, tread lightly for draft analyses. But red? Red is a hard stop. No Gen AI for final rating decisions, material, non-public information, or confidential client data. Ever.
So the crucial point here, the absolute golden rule. You are the pilot. The AI is merely the co-pilot. Spark Assist is an assistant. It surfaces patterns, it formats data, and it frees up your human time for the high-value analysis, but it is never the decision maker.
Which leaves us with our absolute axiom for today. Fluency is not fact. Treat every single AI output as an unverified first draft. Gen AI has zero accountability. It can't be blamed. A human owns the decision, and therefore a human owns the error. Your judgment is always the final word.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to reflect deeply on your own daily workflow. Ask yourself this before every single interaction from now on. Are you providing the AI with a roadmap, or are you just hoping it figures it out? Use the tools, build the structure, and own the intelligence. Thanks for learning with us today.